Here we go. It's your coach, Pauly C, out of Austin, Texas, team leader coach. And I'm excited to have a conversation today with Mr. Mike Sherrard joining us from Canada. Mike's a real estate agent and social media assassin. Has a business around that that's helping agents. And with a shifting market now more than ever, it's so important to pay attention to and evolve around social media and YouTube. So welcome, Mr. Mike Sherrard.
Hey man, thanks so much. I'm excited to be back here, and thankfully we've got a sunny day for once instead of snow up here in Canada, and I'm ready to chat about how to crush it in this market.
Nice. So just give us the abbreviated version here on your background, where you came from, and your come up in real estate, and kind of what you're doing right now.
Yeah, definitely. So real estate was never kind of my angle. I never really planned to be a realtor, but the long story short is, I took 2 degrees in 3 years back in university, one called mechanical engineering and one called technology management and entrepreneurship. And after graduating, I came out to Calgary, and typical oil and gas town, and became an engineer. And I started reading books, kind of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Think and Grow Rich type stuff in my tail end of university. And when I came out and realized that, the engineering world wasn't for me, I started looking at other opportunities. And after a year and a half as an engineer, I helped lead a team of 750 people, was recognized as one of the top employees of 60,000 in my first year. I quit 2 weeks later, and everybody thought, you're insane. You're on this trajectory to become a manager. You're doing this, you're doing that. And I just realized that clocking in my time wasn't a good, example of my effort and my drive. So I got into real estate, and I primarily got into real estate just because I wanted to learn marketing, branding, and sales. And I also was passionate about the investing side of real estate. So I looked at low barrier to entry. I'm pretty passionate about it. Let's give it a shot. In my first year, I went from not having Instagram to being ranked top 30 realtor in the world on Instagram or on social media, just behind the $500,000 listing. I did really well at door knocking, but then transitioned my entire business to social media. And last year I was a top producer, and 100% of my business came through organic content on social media. So now I run an agency that I own that does personal branding, content marketing, social media marketing. And I've been having the blessed opportunity of collaborating with people like you, working with agents around the world, and, taking a modern, innovative approach to quite an archaic industry.
That's an interesting choice of words, but I hear you, man. Especially on the marketing side of things, agents have been stereotypically notorious for their ability to be more effective at marketing. Let me rewind for a second, though, because I think it's really imperative, especially with the global pandemic that's happening right now, where the market's shifting, on how you came up. Because when people think of Canada, they may very well think of Canada, great market, because you hear that quite a bit about different Canadian markets, but that's not the market that you came up in. And then, so tell us about that initial effort and push, and how getting traction and being successful with that first occurred, and then why and how that looked moving into social media and the attraction portion of generating leads.
Yeah, that's a great point. So I'm up here in Calgary. I don't keep my finger on the pulse too much of the stats anymore, but when I was kind of in the thick of it, the kind of running stat was about 27% of listed homes sell. Wow. And of those 27%, the majority of them, I forget which percent, but a high percent of them actually expired or terminated once before selling. So we are actually in one of the worst markets in North America. So I was 24 at the time, brand new to the city, didn't know anybody, no real estate experience, in the worst market. So, I started door knocking, and I got 2 listings my first night when I door knocked in the snow, -10 all night long, 2 listings, 700K. And I found out that this works. But after door knocking for 3 hours a day for 6 months straight, I realized the only time that I'm making money or growing my business is when I'm trading time for money. And as I started getting more into the entrepreneurial world, I started realizing that a lot of my friends that have achieved, the 6, 7, 8-figure level of success actually did the opposite. And they were trading money for time so that they could get more time back, knowing that you can't replace time. So what I started doing is saying, how can scale myself? How can I build my business and get more creative? And started using social media. Now, not a lot of people back in 2017 were leveraging Instagram or Facebook ads. So I kind of took my city by storm and built up a lot of recognition really quickly. And now, by getting creative during these times, it allows you to separate yourself from the pack. So
Yeah.
while most new agents come into the business and say, okay, top agent in my city is Joe Smith over here, so I'm going to try and build my business like Joe Smith. But the problem is the majority of them built their business back in their heyday when times were different. And I decided, I'm going to kind of pave my own path, look at what, cool agents in the States are doing, because up here we're a little bit behind. And
Mm.
I just started implementing these modern strategies. And it got to the point where I haven't prospected once in a year and a half. I haven't called a single past client because they're on my social media, which is inevitably nurturing them because they
Hmm.
constantly see what I'm up to.
Yeah.
And I was able to generate leads for $1, give or take, for leads, and I crushed it with that. So I decided that, okay, the market's not working for me. It's a bad market, but I can't blame that for my success or my failure because, at one point it was a hot market before I got into the industry. So you can never blame the market, but what you can do is say, the market's presenting itself this way. How do I align with that in order to zig while everybody else is zagging and get creative in order to get more exposure? So
Yeah.
leveraging modern tech was a blessing because nobody else was doing it.
Yeah, you bring up so many good points because I came up in 2008, crashing market in the recession in Las Vegas, Nevada. So I was at one of the epicenters, and a lot of what I did, because we have similar stories. I was making six figures working on the strip in an industry that was easy, and people thought I was crazy going into real estate in 2008. But when you're done with something, you're just done with it.
Yeah.
It sounded like you were there, right?
I was mentally checked out. So for
Yeah.
me, it was just about where am I going?
Right. But so at the time, real estate was it's the same but different, right? Obviously, the fundamentals as far as how to generate business are always going to be there, and yet society evolves, and then paying attention to, especially in a shifting market where even right now, I mean, we don't know if there's going to be Corona is going to come back around, and how much longer we're in this state, if we'll end up being in this state again. But the matter of the fact is, my ability to be more impactful and to shift into social media and YouTube is going to be, maybe life or death for some of these agents. So what should agents be doing right now to be more effective in on those platforms?
Yeah, definitely. That's such a great question and couldn't be more relevant. So the general vague answer is to start providing more value, right? At the end of the day, the thing I see wrong with all platforms, let's look at Instagram, for example. You see agents turn their Instagram feed into a homes and land magazine. Well, that doesn't provide value to anybody but yourself trying to seem like you're doing all this business.
Mm-hmm.
You look at Facebook ads and everybody's running how to get, free home evaluation ads. That doesn't provide value to anybody but yourself. So the way that you need to do it right now is people are looking for answers. People want to know how the pandemic is affecting their local real estate market or their house specifically. People want to know how 0% mortgages or forbearance or deferral payments or stimulus packages might be able to be used to their advantage. They want information. So right now, my biggest piece of advice to anybody on social media, especially real estate agents, is take the information that's coming out and put it out in video form, which is the best, highest converting form on social, and give them value, give them answers that they're looking for. And what I want people to understand is that it's so easy. For example, we just took a realtor's video. He's down in Los Angeles in the West Side, and he's a brand new agent. We put out his video yesterday on how to sell a house fast in a tough market or in a slow market. Currently, right now, at this very second, he's got 26 subscribers. He's ranking third in the world above a channel with 1.25 million subscribers and just one below one with 43,000 subscribers because we've optimized his content and now he's getting attention from that video.
So when you say ranking by the video or ranking by his channel?
Ranking by that video. So if anybody looks how to sell a house right now, he's number 3 in the world. So it's very easy. A lot of people say, well, Instagram's saturated. Well, it's saturated with lackluster content.
Junk. Yeah.
Right? So if you happen to put out an entertaining personality or just a valuable or an educational personality and give value to some people, you are going to stand out on YouTube. 1.9 active billion monthly users, but a lot of people don't know how to rank their content. So if you know how to do some easy tagging SEO type stuff, you can do very well. Facebook ads, again, yes, every agent's running Facebook ads, but they're usually just boosting their posts with nonsense. So if you happen to, again, find a way to provide value right now, you're going to crush it on any platform. And as you know, with Facebook ads right now, the average stat that's coming out is ad cost is about 70% lower than usual because the big brands aren't saturating the platform. And the fact that attention per mobile user is up 80% per day of average screen time. So it's an incredible opportunity to leverage your time at home where you're learning new skills, you're adding new tools to your arsenal and providing value to your community.
Yeah, you brought up a good point. So more eyeballs means cheaper lead gen.
More
Right?
eyeballs, cheaper lead gen,
Yeah.
cheaper costs, because you no longer have these big businesses that are pumping $100,000 a day, $10,000 a day into Facebook because they're currently getting hit and hammered based on the pandemic. So now your $10 a day suddenly goes that little extra mile further than it otherwise would have. So right now, my biggest advice is you don't have to get active on every platform if you're not at that level, but just add one new tool to your arsenal. Start getting active on Instagram stories every day. And then once that becomes a habit, maybe add YouTube to the port, or start with Facebook ads and then maybe add LinkedIn. Just start making sure. The worst thing you can do is come out the other side of what's happening right now as the same person and the same agent you were beforehand. If you don't add a new tool to your arsenal or scale your business during this time, you failed.
That right there, that's the nugget right there for anybody who's watching what you just said right there. If you come out of this situation the same as you were before, you've failed. Yeah, because it's such an opportunity. And I know people have apprehension with about doing video. So just on a little touch with something that you also mentioned before on doing video, because I think people overthink and they overcomplicate doing video. And look, everybody, because I know that I'm very comfortable now in front of the camera and allowing my own personality and my own character to shine through, which I think everybody has the opportunity to do, where don't try to be like somebody else. Just be yourself. Be that. I always tell people, Mike, be that person behind closed doors that your significant other or your best friends see, because the reason why those people still are around you is because there's character, there's personality, there's humor there. And once you get past that lens that's in front of you and the microphone, your ability to be able to bring some of that content material, because these shouldn't be big productions or 20-minute videos, right?
No, it's, that's a great way to look at it. And the way that I look at it, and I coach people to look when they're getting started on video, is let's say you're going to make a video about how the pandemic's affecting your local market, right? The way that I frame my videos is I imagine right before I record the video that one of my best friends or a new client or anybody that I know walks in, sat in front of me and said, Mike, how is the real estate market being affected by the pandemic? You would not look at that person, deliver a couple words, then look back at a notebook or a script, and then look back at them and say, oh, shoot, I forgot to say this, and then look back. You would say, well, John, this is how the market is being affected. This is how sellers, buyers, investors, this is what you should need to know. It's a consultation, and that's how your true personality is going to come out. If you say, best friend just walked in, said, Mike, what are the 5 biggest mistakes people make when they buy their first house? Yeah. Well, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You wouldn't overthink it. And that's where a lot of people go wrong, is they feel like they're speaking into this device, but they're actually speaking to an audience. Because when you watch a YouTube video or any sort of video format, you feel like the person, your favorite vlogger or whoever you like to watch, you feel like they're speaking directly to you. Yeah. And that's how you need to be perceived, is that you're speaking directly to your audience, which is actual people, not a device.
Yeah. Authenticity beats format every day.
100%. And something that people need to understand too is the quote that I like to live by, which is done is better than perfect. Yeah. A video that you recorded with this incredible device right here, an iPhone, a video that's done on an iPhone and posted across all your social media platforms is doing million times more for your business than a perfectly edited production that's sitting on Dropbox because you're too nervous about how it looks.
That's good. I want to share with everybody that I had found my wife. I'll give credit. I don't give my wife enough credit because she always has great ideas for me, and she's always doing research on YouTube. She had been doing quite a bit of social media marketing research, and she found me. And she said, "Paul, you got to see this guy." She's like, "I really like him a lot," because there's, like you said, there's a lot of junk out there. And being able to maneuver through the fuzz, to be able to find good stuff, good content is always difficult. And for me, I'm always looking to come from contribution to bring value. And now more than ever, because my powerhouse, my wheelhouse is power of communication, direct conversation. Because regardless of where leads come from, at the end of the day, I have to be more influential and help people feel more comfortable and confident. But the strategies around that to get them to that conversation, i.e., this forum where we're talking about social media and YouTube, are essential and critical right now. And the skills and the value that you bring to your YouTube channel was significant. So I'm like, I got to get this guy on because there's so much there. So I'm going to highly recommend people go to your YouTube channel and check out Mike Sherrard. It's just Mike Sherrard YouTube channel. Tons of great nuggets there to be able to plug into, whether they're more simple or more advanced strategies and skills to be able to use on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram. But what else is your business doing now for agents and for businesses to help people in those forums?
Yeah, definitely. So one of the biggest things that we're doing right now is content repurposing. So a lot of people hear Gary Vaynerchuk talking about taking a pillar piece of content, breaking it into micro content. And a lot of people are starting to get comfortable with recording video, but they don't want to do the editing and the optimization and the tagging and the thumbnails and this. So we have a service that basically automates Gary V's message. So people send us the raw unedited footage, and our team professionally edits it with all kinds of branded motion graphics, repurposes it for every platform, does it all. So we do that. And then we also do traditional content and social media marketing. So we've got a full marketing team. We rebrand people for agents that want to have a better presence. And then we find ways to, again, help them make additional income sources from things like YouTube, their content, lead generation, and the whole 9 yards. So basically everything related to personal branding, content, and social. And again, we're having great success with people. And for me, ultimately, it just makes my day when I see somebody that was nervous to get on video put out their first YouTube video, and how excited they are when they see the overwhelming positive reaction from their audience and new people and leads reaching out to them. And this is something anybody can do for free. So we work with a lot of people from the 6 to 9 figure level now, which is really cool. But I just love seeing agents scale their business the modern way, because last year when I didn't have to prospect a single day, I didn't email, I did nothing last year. I was the laziest agent in the city, but I was still a top producer because 100% of my business came to me through social media.
Yeah.
So they already made up their decision that I was the guy. I didn't have to do a listing presentation. I didn't have to pitch why I was the guy. I walked in and I said, here's how we should chat about price.
The trust was already built in.
It was great. And here's the thing too, is I didn't work with any clients that I didn't like last year, because the ones that don't like me from social don't reach out to me. And that's fine, because now all of the relationships I have with my clients are more of like a friendship instead of like, it's like a consultation versus a pitch.
Yeah. And now let me give a disclaimer, especially for the new agents that'll watch this. I'm not recommending that that's exactly what you do, because you had another business venture. You were at a specific place in time with what you were doing with your business and with your life, because staying in touch with my people, that's always an important thing to do. But the lesson there really is, Mike, is that it's effective. And so I have a saying, a little bit's a lot of bit. So just a little bit can mean a lot of bit on the return for how you engage social media, how you convey your message and your personality and value content over social media. A little bit can mean a lot of bit. And so you're just living proof of that. And people can reach out to you and find you on the YouTube page, the YouTube channel, Facebook and Instagram, Mike Sherrard, or is there another?
Yeah, those are great. Slide into the DMs and I'll respond to everybody. And I think, as you mentioned, the thing that I have to say, the disclaimer that you kind of alluded to, is last year I knew that I was going to be starting an agency. So I didn't put effort into nurturing clients, even though my social media was nurturing them. So if you do want to be growing a 7-figure real estate business, you do have to have those campaigns. But the one thing I will say is that adding your clients to social media is a great way to nurture them, because now you no longer have to be so salesy about your follow-up.
Yeah.
A lot of people will say, if I call them and say, hey, you know, Joanne, how you doing? Just wanted to see how things are going with you and your family in the new house. They'll be like, oh, we're doing great. How was your weekend last weekend? When I saw that you were in the mountains on that hike, it looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
So now the follow-up and the conversations are less one-sided, and now it's a two-way conversation because they're actually following you. And that's a great way to constantly stay top of mind.
Yeah. You know, a coach had said to me, technology should actually allow us to be more human more often.
Yeah.
If it's done right. That's kind of what you were talking about, because one little tiny little thing on the tail end of what you were saying there too is that to build a scalable business, because I've gotten a reputation of being like the cold call cowboy, because that's what I had to do to survive in 2008 and 9. But trust me, social media didn't exist back then the way it exists now, and so there were certain things that I had to do to survive. But certainly, growing minds must evolve, right? And understanding that to build a scalable, you said the word, right? To build a scalable business, there's only so many expireds and FISBOs and open houses you can do. Okay. So after that, if you want to do 4, 5, 10 plus deals a month, then you're going to have to find a way to be able to be more efficient and effective. And even if you just want to do 3 to 5 deals a month, but do it more efficiently and effectively, then it makes sense to understand this at a higher level and to consult, to resource, to learn from people like you.
Well, even one thing that worked really well for me when I was door knocking for the first 6 months is I would run Facebook ads to the communities that I door knocked. So I was a brand new agent. Nobody's heard of me, right? So I have no reputation, but I would show up at their door and maybe they'd be a bit hesitant. Who is this guy? I'd never heard of him before. But then I would retarget them with Facebook ads. So they would start to see my listing videos and they would start to see my update videos on the market, and they would start to see my community tours and everything else. So now they're like, oh, he was just at my door last week and now I see him here. And it's a great way. You cold call a neighborhood that you're farming. They hear your name and now they see your face and now they hear your tonality and now they see the value providing. So if you pair modern marketing strategies with traditional growth prospecting, it's such a great way to enhance your personal brand and your top of mind awareness. Whereas otherwise they might hear from an agent cold calling them once and then that's it. That's like driving by a bus bench once. And if they want to sell in 6 months, they're never going to remember, oh, who is that agent that called me 6 months ago? That's like driving by a bus bench and saying, can you remember that face that was on that bench? You would never remember it. But if they constantly see you for $5 a day on ads, then you're going to get that business.
Yeah. Come out of the dark ages, come out of your caves, people, start learning how to engage people at a higher level and use this blessing of technology to be able to create more visibility, nurture relationships, and allow people to see you for who you really are. That authenticity. And hey, man, thanks for coming from Contribution. I appreciate what you do on your YouTube channel. Mike Sherrard, guys, check him out. He's a superstar out of Calgary on Canada. And hey, man, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. And it's time to go all in.
All right, buddy. Have a great year.